asymptotes of a hyperbola. So notice that the asymptotes are here. And so we're going to see that the asymptotes for a horizontal transverse axis is k plus or minus b over a x minus h. And then the asymptote for the vertical transverse axis is k plus or minus a over b x minus h. So what's important to know is when it's horizontal, then it's b over a. That's the only thing that's different. And then for the vertical, it's going to be a over b. So we're going to sketch a hyperbola, and we're going to use those asymptotes to help us with our hyperbola. And so this is similar to the ellipse. So we have 4x squared minus y squared equals 16. Now remember that the equation always equals 1. So what we're going to do is divide everything by 16 and then simplify. So we have x squared over 4 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. So right away we know that our center is at 0, 0. So we could put that here already. And then we can figure out our a and our b value. So a is always the first one, b is always the second one. And then also another thing to note is that it's always, whatever's in front is positive, okay? So that kind of helps you out as well. So let us rewrite this. So we know that a, that's 4 is really 2 squared, 16 is really 4 squared. So a is 2, b is 4. So if a is 2, then we know that our vertices are going to be here. And then b is 4, so that tells us it is here and here. Now what we're going to do with these points is we're going to draw just a box to kind of help us out here. Then we can find c as well, so let's do that. So to find c, we're using c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And so c equals the square root of 2 squared plus 4 squared, or the square root of 4 plus 16, or the square root of 20, which is 2 square root of 5. So that's where our focus is going to be. And so we know that our foci are going to be 2 root 5, 0, and then negative 2 root 5, 0. Not that we have to write it right now, but just to kind of keep that in mind. So it's somewhere out here, here. And what we can do is figure out our slope. And so to find it, since this is a horizontal transverse axis, just think about it as b over a. So it's 4 over 2, which is 2. Now, looking at this box we have here, notice that we go up 4 and right 2. So right away, we can even tell what it is. And remember that it's plus or minus, so then it's going to go up 4, left 2, or down 4, right 2. And so we can draw these asymptotes through the center. And so it helps us a little bit more with the picture. So now we can complete our picture a little better, so you know it's not going to cross those asymptotes. And so here is our hyperbola. So that's how you use the asymptotes to help you sketch a parabola. It's a hyperbola. So try this example here, sketch the hyperbola using the asymptotes. So trying this out, you divide everything by 36. You notice that the y is in front, it's positive, and so it's a vertical transverse axis. And you find that a is 3, b is 2, and then when you solve for c, that is square root of 13. The asymptotes are going to be at plus or minus 3 over 2. And so again, so we're using the a is 3, so a is 3, I go up 3, because that's what's under our y, and then b is 2, so I go right 2, and then we draw the box, and then draw the asymptotes through it. Let's do another one, sketch a hyperbola. So we have 4x squared minus 3y squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So this is similar to the ellipse, where we're going to have to complete the square in order to find the standard equation first, so we can sketch it. So we have 4x squared, so let's collect our x's together. Let's factor out a 4 at the same time. So this is 4x squared plus 2x, and I'm going to complete the square, plus blank. And then this is going to be minus, minus 3y squared. And then let's go ahead and move the 16 to the other side, equals negative 16. The other part is we need to remember that because we're adding something here, it's going to be plus 4 times whatever that number, the perfect number is in here. So remember, because it's multiplied, we have to add 4 times whatever that number is. For y, we're not completing the square there, so there's nothing to add on that side. So to complete the square, this is 2 over 2, and then square it, so that's 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So now we have 4 times x plus 1 squared, and then minus 3y squared. We have negative 16 plus 4, so that's going to be a negative 12. So let's divide negative 12 to both sides. And so now we have negative x plus 1 squared over 3, and then plus y squared over 4 equals 1. So we need to rewrite it, so the negative should be on the opposite side. That just helps us identify our a's and b's better. So y squared over 4 minus x plus 1 squared over 3 equals 1. So now we can see, number 1, that let's rewrite this a little bit better, just to identify a little nicer. So remember that it's really 2 squared, and then x plus 1 squared over square root of 3 squared equals 1. So this tells us that our a value is 2. Our b value is square root of 3. Our center is at negative 1. So remember with the x's, right? This is our h is here, and the k is here. So negative 1, comma, 0 is our center. So negative 1, 0 is here. We know a is 2, and then that is a vertical transverse axis. So a is 2 up here, 2 down here. B is square root of 3, so a little past 1. So let's draw that on either side here. And then if we complete the box to help us sketch it, there. Then we can find C to find our vertice, our focus or foci. So that is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or just the square root of both. So this is going to be 2 squared plus root 3 squared, and square root of that. So 4 plus 3. So c is square root of 7. Then to find our asymptotes, so we can kind of see where it is here. You can kind of sketch that here, but if you actually have to find the value, we can use the formula here on the left. So it's a vertical transverse axis, and so this is k plus or minus a over b, x minus h. This is h, this is k. So this is 0 plus or minus 2 root 3 times x minus our h value of negative 1. So that's positive 1 here. So let's continue to simplify this. So the asymptote would be at y equals plus or minus 2 root 3 over 3 times x plus 1. So just leave it in that form. You don't have to distribute or anything else. Just leave it as that is. Try out the next example. Sketch the hyperbola 9x squared minus 4y squared plus 8y minus 40 equals 0. And then see if you can also find the asymptotes for it as well. So if you tried this out, you should have found that your equation was x squared over 4 minus y minus 1 squared over 3 squared, or 9, equals 1. So a is 2, b is 3. You find that c is square root of 13. And so when you're sketching the parabola, the hyperbola, the center is at 0, 1 here. And then so you graph that. And then you find your a, you go 2 to the right for a to the vertice, and then b is 3, so up 3, you can draw that box here. And then you can already tell what your slope is here because it works really nicely on that grid. But then if you solve for it, remember you plug it in. So because it's horizontal, the only difference is it's b over a. So you plug in what you have, 1 plus or minus 3 over 2 times x minus 0. So this is going to be 1 plus or minus 3 halves x, which makes total sense because your your y-intercept is 1, and you go up 3, right 2, and then you will also go up 3, left 2 for the other asymptote.